Finance ministers now, they've reached a landmark agreement on how to save all these struggling banks.
Yes, and the plan they've come up with, Claire, was hammered out in Luxembourg yesterday. It's a step closer to that banking union we've heard so much about. Now, what they agreed on Thursday was that the Eurozone Rescue Fund would be allowed to directly recapitalise struggling banks across the Eurozone. As I said, it's that one step closer to the banking union, that it means greater political and economic integration across all the 17 Eurozone states. Mark Edwards has more.
It's one of the pillars of the 17-nation Eurozone so-called banking union. A €500 billion fund put in place to rescue ailing banks directly, rather than burdening sovereign states and increasing their national debt. However, the group's ability to recapitalise banks will be limited to €60 billion to maintain the fund's top-notch credit rating.
We need the banking union to improve the trust of the financial markets and the stability of the European banking system.
The groundwork for the banking union was laid by EU leaders a year ago, but countries like Germany have been reluctant to push the project through. They fear having to bankroll ailing banks in countries who didn't oversee the sector properly in the first place. However, some EU states, such as France, believe a single supervisory mechanism is the only way to keep the Eurozone together.
I am very satisfied that this tool is credible and strong. Very satisfied that it really responds to the demands of the European Council to break the vicious circle between the banking and sovereign crises, which was destabilising during the financial crisis. This is one more step towards the stabilisation of the Eurozone.
EU leaders estimate that the process will take at least a year before the fund can start injecting money directly into failing banks.
Now, the markets have been pretty turbulent over the last few days. How are they looking this Friday?
Well, the Asian markets, Claire, had a bit of a rocky start. They hit a 9-month low during earlier trading. It's slightly better now for the Japanese Nikkei, but otherwise all in the red. The South Korean Kospi is worst off now. They're struggling after news that the US Federal Reserve could be tapering off its stimulus package, which sparked a massive sell-off in Wall Street yesterday. Some analysts there fearing it's just too soon for federal support to stop.
I think that the market is basically saying that you, the Fed, believes this economy to be stronger than we do, but we don't believe you. That we think that you take away the stimulus and this economy probably won't be able to stand on its own 2 feet. So until we see otherwise, we are going to be concerned that this low trajectory economic recovery could be at risk of dangerous downdrafts.
Well, it's day 2 of the French Social Conference here in Paris. On the agenda, matters of unemployment and pension and social reforms. The French president attended on Thursday, and he didn't mince his words when it came to talking about French unemployment now at a 15-year high.
Unemployment, which has been increasing for 5 years, will continue to go up until the end of the year. I've never hidden this reality, because when there's no economic growth, there won't be sufficient job creation.
OK, well, let's have a look at some companies' news now. The Time has called on deals at the Paris Air Show, and in the battle of the plane makers, it's Airbus who has just edged ahead of its rival. The European company said it secured just over $39 billion worth of firm orders, while US Boeing was just behind at $38 billion, although the selling stopped. The show runs until Sunday.
Samsung has ramped up its new product offensive. The South Korean tech giant has unveiled a hybrid tablet computer. The Active Q can switch between Windows 8 and Android operating systems. Bosses hope it will help reverse a recent slump. Shares nosedived earlier this month when banks slashed Samsung's profit forecasts.
And there's clear skies ahead for a Delta Airlines deal with Virgin Atlantic. US and EU antitrust regulators have approved Delta's plan to take over a 49% stake of Virgin Atlantic. The pair will now team up on North Atlantic routes and give Delta a stronger foothold at London's Heathrow Airport. Delta shares ended up nearly 2% in the Wall Street post-trade session.
And finally, photo sharing app Instagram is getting a makeover, Katharina.
Yes, this is under its new bosses, Facebook. Well, I say new, they've been bought out for about a year now. But Instagram will now have a brand new video function. It means that Instagram's 130 million users will be able to record and upload 15-second video clips. Now, they'll have a whole range of functions like colour and contrast and various other fun gadgets, no doubt. Now, Instagram hopes it'll sort of keep them on par with rival Twitter, who've already got a similar video upload device called Vine, as well as perhaps help them capitalise on the growing popularity of digital online advertising. So that could be a niche market they could look to capitalise on, Claire.
Katharina Totsi, thank you very much for that roundup of the business news, and you are, of course, back in the next hour. Time for web news now, and we start with the growing protests in Brazil.
Protests continue.